Hey, what's up, everybody? It is time for Three Guys Before the Game. It's episode number 585. This is our Kansas State game recap, and it's brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Get that GoMart rewards card and begin saving on everything, food and fuel and more. Information available, gomart.com, or just download the GoMart app. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. It's Tudor's Biscuit World. Spreads on Stats is brought to us by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. And those numbers are coming up. All right, man, let's jump in. West Virginia falls to Kansas State. 45-18 was the final score. It was 10-3 after a quarter. It was 17-10 at halftime. Obviously, shoulda, coulda, woulda, been 17-17. Needed to stick that one in there in the final seconds on that goal-to-go situation. Well, actually, it wasn't even goal-to-go. It was fourth down from like inside the two, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then it was all over, done. In the second half, Kansas State outscores West Virginia 28-8. Build the numbers together. It's 45-18. Kansas State now with one loss in league play. And West Virginia now falls under 500 overall. They're 3-4. And the Mountaineers got a lot of questions. So on the program today, we'll look at the game, break down the numbers. This numerical breakdown is a lot different than last week. Last week, you could say X, Y, Z. That's boom, 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 Y. This one, bunch of different stuff all came into play in this one. So we'll get into that. Boys, as you know, folks, we don't talk before we start specifics.
Sworn to silence, in fact.
About the game, we say, don't say a thing, don't say a thing. Then we're just going to let it rip. Normally, we start with Hoppy's obvious observations. Do you have those today?
I do. I do not speak for Mountaineer Nation, but I can read the room. And part of the room is you got to fire Neil Brown, and but I kind of I discount that because that's been around for about 4 years now. So discount that. But what is concerning is when you do read the room is what I think is the increasing number of Mountaineer fans who do not think that Neil Brown and this staff are going to get it done, that this team is that they are consistently, not always, but consistently falling below expectations. And when you get to that, in 49 BC, Tony, Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon.
You're going BC on this.
Yeah. Crossed the Rubicon, small waterway in northern Italy. And when he crossed the Rubicon, it was a seminal moment because it was the start of civil war in the Roman Empire, and it was the beginning of the end of the empire. There was no going back. No going back. And that's kind of what it feels like here, that if you haven't crossed the Rubicon, you're on the verge of doing that, where given how this season has gone, given how much of the previous seasons have gone, and I am not advocating for the firing of Neil Brown, I'm trying to make an observation, that you are reaching a point where it's going to be difficult for Neil Brown to come back from. That's number one. The second point is, you're going to fire Neil Brown this week. No, this athletics director has said repeatedly when these kinds of questions have come up, he's not going to take that kind of action in the middle of a season for a couple of reasons. Because what has he always said? I'm evaluating the program. And I'm not just going to go on individual wins and losses or how angry the fans are this week. So if you're doing that, if he's going to do what he said historically he's going to do, he will wait until the season is over before he would make any decision. So unless something unbelievable happens, you're not going to get, if there is going to be a change, you're not going to get it in the middle of the season. However, if at the end of the season he contemplates making a decision, then the question is, okay, who do you get next? And can you afford to do that? Because we know the budget is tight. They got to come up with this extra money. Neil Brown just got an extension of his contract for another 3 years, even though he took a little bit of a cut in pay. So what would that cost? Well, my math has it at about $10 million for the remainder of the contract for 3 years. But you have some runway there because you don't have to pay that all at once. You would have to pay, according to the contract, 75% of the remaining amount for the duration of the contract, which means that if you made a move for the next 3 years, you'd have to come up with another $3 million to pay Neil Brown. Then you got assistance, and I don't know what that number would be. So that makes it a more manageable amount. So bottom line, summation, you may have crossed the Rubicon with much of Mountaineer Nation, but second of all, you're not going to get an action by Ren Baker in the middle of the season. And also, if you do fire a coach in the middle of the season, it immediately opens the portal. So you would get plucked like a Thanksgiving turkey before the season was even over. It would decimate the program. That's my Hoppy's obvious observations.
Very good. Senator?
So that's a more longer-term view over the next couple of months. The shorter-term view is there enough time to turn and find some wins? You know, we had talked all summer that these first 2 months were just brutal from a schedule standpoint, not just the non-conference schedule, but just the way this conference season opened up. And it concludes the first 2 month stretch with a trip to Arizona. That's going to be a difficult stretch, albeit against a team that's struggling as well, that's lost 3 games in a row. So there is some thought that you look ahead, and it's part of why you would evaluate these at the end of the season. Also, just say, okay, finish it out here. You've underperformed comparative to your expectations, but there's still games left here to see. But listen, this Arizona game is going to be tough. Then Cincinnati is better, right? UCF probably should have had Iowa State last night, save for a really questionable pass interference call that gave Iowa State a chance to punch it in late. So no gimmies coming in the next 6 games, 5 games, whatever.
Baylor won.
The really concerning part of this, though, and we've said this a lot, that the first few games you see things and you can write them off as, well, that was a one-off or that just happened in this game. There's just 2 troubling themes that have developed around this team, and these are the hard things to see fixable moving forward. Can they be? Don't know, but here's the things, and they're pretty obvious. The inability to prevent the big pass plays. That has hurt you all season and has not improved. It happened again last night. We'll get it down into some of this in the first half where you were around this and giving a shot at it. Now, given how it turned out and given your injuries, the second half probably gets away from you either way. But the big pass plays, there again, that just can't be happening in Game 7. There's just no other way to say that. And then the turnovers, guys. There you are again with turnovers, and one turns into points, which is just absolutely soul-crushing to you. There's 4 teams in the country with a worse turnover margin than West Virginia. Those 4 teams have a record of 9-19. TCU is the only one that's above 500 at 4-3. So it's just, again, I hate to simplify it. We can talk about some more things, but the defense's inability to stop big pass plays in cover and the offense's inability to keep the ball gets you where you are at this point.
Mm-hmm. Points off turnovers last night were 10-0. Rough math, I went through it this morning. The remaining teams on West Virginia's schedule, they're like 3 games over 500. I didn't write it down. I think it's 9. I think they have an overall record right now of 19-16. So to your point, there are wins potentially that are sitting there. However, as you look at the remaining schedule going forward, it has changed in its perception of win-loss compared to where we were 4 weeks ago, right? You looked at it 4 weeks ago and you said, you go get Cincinnati. Baylor, okay, take care of it. UCF, take care of it. Not to say that that's not going to happen now, but they've become more difficult. Baylor shows it has life. It goes to
hasn't quit.
It goes to Texas Tech. That was a seminal moment yesterday in their game because if they would have laid down, then their goose is cooked, right? And then UCF, you thought maybe they might be done because they got kicked around. Obviously, Iowa State came out flat, and as you said, they
should have had a win.
Should have had a win. And so all of a sudden that takes on a different look. And Texas Tech, despite the fact that they lost, you could see, okay, they're a lot better than you thought before the season started. So the point to all this is, like, there's nothing easy. We knew the first 7 games. We knew the first 7 games were going to be the challenge, and we said this team will define itself in the first 7 games.
Really 8. Count 8, because there's on the road to Arizona.
Okay, on the road to Arizona, sure. But so that's the problem. That's the problem. You weren't able to get enough positive out of this first chunk going forward. So now you have this massive moment as to which way this thing is going to swing, because we often say teams, as the season goes on, they get to a point. They're either doing a climb or they go off the cliff and they go down.
Well, Steve Dunlap on our coverage loves to quote Don Nealon, who's coached a little football, and Don Nealon would say 6 games in, you kind of are who you are. And we have seen teams historically, Tony, West Virginia teams, that you start with expectations, or then at some point you go, it's just not, it's for a variety of reasons, and spreads on stats will have one of that, just not going to work. Just not going to happen for a variety of reasons.
Well, that's why I point out those 2 things. That's starting to be in your DNA. Bad pass coverage and turnovers. I mean, it's every time we come in here after a loss, we're saying those 2 things, right? And that's the stuff that's hard to overcome. And listen, guys, now you're in a position to, as you look forward to try and see if you can get some of this life back in you. You got all these injuries piled up. That was an unbelievable injury game last night. K-State was extremely physical. Sometimes those hits, I think, my goodness. By the way, I don't know what targeting is anymore, so I'm done trying to evaluate what targeting is.
Well,
but you've lost some really key guys, so moving forward, that becomes even more difficult now.
Another thing about that game is that West Virginia made a conscious decision. We're going to stop Giddens. We're going to stop the run. We're going to stop Avery Johnson from running. Of course, Johnson didn't run at all. I think not one time, probably because of the hip injury. But so you say, okay, we're going to stop the run. We're going to force Johnson, who hasn't been a great passer, to beat you. And you know what he did? Lined up and beat you. Made plays. So you're just not good enough, Brad. You can maybe do a thing, but you're not good enough to do more things in order to win the game.
Yeah, well, you can't give away possessions and you can't give away points. That's where that margin for error in these games is so thin. Those are hard to overcome. You lose well more than 50% of your games when you throw a pick 6. Your win probability immediately takes a dive under 50% and goes down from there. So you do that stuff, it's just hard to overcome. I'll go through a bunch of numbers here in a minute, but quite frankly, it doesn't matter. Those are the 2 things. Big pass plays, turnovers, ball game.
Yeah, it's not really hard. Right, it's not really hard to figure out.
And last night was always going to be a tough matchup. Personal opinion, I think Kansas State is the best team in this league. I think they're really good. They do some things well. The Iowa State thing last night, Hop, as I was watching it, it irritated me more because that was the run defense I thought you would be able to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Right? UCF goes for 300 plus, almost 400 yards on the ground against that vaunted Iowa State defense. They give up the run.
Yeah.
They give up the run. And West Virginia wasn't able to take advantage of it. That was a week late on what those numbers told you could do against Iowa State. We talked last Thursday. This was not a great matchup for West Virginia. But defensively, and I'll get into some of this, defensively, again, you wipe out those giant pass plays, which you can't do because you do it every game. You did. You did the game plan that you want to execute every game. What do you do best? We want to take it away. Can you go beat us doing something that you don't do well? Kansas State did. West Virginia wasn't able to. Ran it enough in the first half to be in it, but the mistakes set you back. Then you have to go throw it, and West Virginia couldn't beat Kansas State throwing it.
This will be old news by the time you listen to this, but they did just release game time for Arizona.
Oh, what is it?
7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Arizona time.
Okay.
7 p.m. Eastern. So that means West Virginia will play in the light in Arizona. Kickoff at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. Spreads on stats coming up. 3 guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems. If you're a business owner or you're in a business that has something to do with multiple phone lines, they have premier business phone systems. So whether you need 1 line or 1,000 lines, check them out. If you're saying, yeah, it's time, give them a call and just have them come in. It doesn't cost you a single red cent. And they will come in and give you a free price quote, competitively priced, and they can go small to big. like they say, one line to 1,000 lines. 1,000 lines is a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of lines. And give them a call, comaxwv.com. And then as far as financing goes, any way you want to do it, buy, lease, rent, they'll take care of you. It's comaxwv.com. And the phone systems are just one of the things that they offer. They got every kind of business equipment piece that you could ask. They got great 3-hole punches, too. Got those 3-hole?
Yeah.
Those are nice.
Yeah. You got to get them lined up right, though.
Yeah, you really do. comaxwv.com. 3 Guys also brought to us by Go-Mart. Go for good times. Go for Go-Mart. Don't forget, every weekend, if you have that Go-Mart card, it's Triple Point Saturdays, every Saturday for the rest of this month, which is the perfect time to stack up on all your stuff. You build up triple points, and then, ding, ding, that increases your ability to save money on your food and your fuel. Download the Go-Mart app. So that's what we got. You ready, El Senatore, on numbers?
Sure.
He's still gathering. He's still working on them.
Last week, the numbers didn't jive with what we saw on the field. Do these numbers jive with what we saw on the field? My guess is yes.
Well, if the game stopped at halftime, they would be like Iowa State numbers. You'd look at it and go, okay, you're right there. You're doing exactly what you have to. The game got away from you in the second half. They ran you out of the gym. But the first half, yeah, there's some numbers that you're like, man, which I'll get, just hit the music. I'll get into it.
So I checked the numbers.
I mean, why you gotta treat me like DJ Boy? I mean, you just did, didn't he, Hop? He just said like DJ Boy.
Play the music.
Play the music.
Just
play
play
my
the
request.
Just play the music and shut up.
All of a sudden, it's like that train song. Play that song. Spreads on Stats is our breakdown of the analytics of a Mountaineer contest brought to us by Conley CPA Group. They provide value beyond numbers. What does that mean? That means that they're a complete service public accounting firm. From, doing all the stuff, all the forms, all the numbers, but they consult their clients throughout West Virginia and surrounding areas, doing it for over 40 years. You can outsource your accounting with them. They can provide CFO services, everything that you need to do. Audit and assurance, tax planning, preparation, consulting, and advisory. It's Conley CPA Group. All right, man. What the numbers say.
Let's go back and talk about what we talked Thursday, see how that stacked up. We came into this talking about the rushing game from both teams. Who would win the rushing battle on that? We said K-State's opponents had averaged 13.5 out of 16 when it comes to rank of Big 12 rushing offenses. So the thought was, well, can West Virginia run here? They're the fifth ranked rushing team coming into this game. Hop, first half, it was there.
Yeah.
Ran for 145 yards in the first half, nearly 6 yards per carry. You were executing that part of your game plan. On the flip side, you had absolutely bottled up the nation's fourth leading rusher, and DJ Giddens just couldn't do anything. You're right, Hop. Avery Johnson wasn't running. We talked about that on Thursday and speculated they may not try and run him except in high leverage situations. Given the hip injury, he hadn't carried the ball since returning from the hip or the oblique, whatever it was, that they didn't against you. So you were down. You had successfully got them to not run their quarterback, who was second league in rushing yards for a quarterback behind Garrett, and you were handling DJ Giddens. You were doing exactly what you had to do. The big play got you. If you're K-State, you look at this first half. So West Virginia's running it and having success there. You ran 45% of your plays in Kansas State's territory in the first half.
Wow.
You can't. If I would have told you that on Thursday, those two numbers, you would have said, okay, you're right there. You're in this. K-State had just 92 yards of offense in the first half other than that 60-yard touchdown play. They were averaging just 5 yards per carry, 8 rush yards on the game in the first half. So you talk about an opportunity that was there. And again, given the way things played out and the injuries that came, you probably don't win last night anyway. But, man, that first half you were executing. First half, time of possession, 20.5 minutes to 9.5 minutes. You ran 44 plays to their 19. Just look at that stuff. But let's use a basketball number since basketball season's underway. Kansas State, 10 points off turnovers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
A lot of deflections for them. They got their hands on a lot of balls.
Yeah.
Led to the interceptions. Avery Johnson, Hoppy, you said it. You lined up and said, all right, you're not going to beat us running the football. You're going to have to throw it to win. Avery Johnson was effective and the receivers made plays. He walked out of there with an 88 grade from Pro Football Focus. That'll end up being one of the higher quarterback grades in college football this week.
Hey, Brad,
here's one of the things they do with Avery Johnson that this is this is what becomes maddening too. Not only did they big play a couple of those times, he was 14 of 19 on passes less than 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. It just sat back there and just, whenever they needed, just right up. So they big played you 2 times when they needed it. Other than that, he's just standing there throwing balls just underneath.
And Brad,
it's too easy.
Did West Virginia get any pressure on him?
No, but some of that's, I just said 19 passes on less than 10 yards. There's not time to pressure him, right? So no, they got none. But if you're throwing the ball, and a lot of those came at the line of scrimmage or 5 yards down, I'm pushing it to go to 10. He only had 8 passes of 10 yards or more beyond the line of scrimmage.
However,
and 8 passes, didn't need to.
Correct. However,
couldn't run it, and still it just marched down the field. So it was almost like that was their running game.
So they were going trips, and they were just, you talk about death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
That just makes you scream.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely makes you scream. It was just stealing.
5, 6, 7 yards,
Boom,
8 yards.
Boom.
Conversely, on the other side, West Virginia, seemingly every time it dropped back to pass, there was just nobody available. You were throwing everything into contested coverage. Receivers were having to fight guys off to try and make catches. It was just, you just did not move the ball. You were totally ineffective in your pass game as a result. This won't surprise you, but to back up what you saw, West Virginia with a season low on Pro Football Focus of the 12 categories that are graded by Sunday morning when we record, a season low in 7 of those 12. An 8th category was just a 10th off. So in essence, 8 categories of seasons low across your 12.
Do you have some of those? Like, what are those?
The season lows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand by, Hop.
Stand by.
Stand by.
Stand by. I guess if we edited the podcast, then at this time we'd say 3, 2, 1, stop, and then roll it again. Okay, go.
Overall grade, offensive grade, pass block grade, receiving grade, run grade, defensive grade, not run defensive grade, scratch that. Tackling grade was the one that was 1/10 off for a team that had been rated number 1 in the conference in tackling grade in West Virginia. And then coverage grade.
West Virginia was number 1, according to PFF, in the conference in tackling.
These were the top 2.
Prior to yesterday.
Correct.
That's what you saw.
So there you go. I mean, I have a million more. I don't know that it matters, guys.
Yeah.
This is one of those that it just doesn't matter. There's some of your numbers. You played one of your worst games of the year, multiple starters injured in the second half. So any life you had, again, I thought, guys, I thought you were done with the pick 6. I thought that's basically over. They did get up off the mat, came back with the drives. You had 160 yards of your total offense in those 2 drives. Marched down the field twice. I agreed with the decision to go for it rather than kick the field goal. You were going to have to score. And Hoppy, as I said at the time on our broadcast, I just thought you had to do something unconventional to counteract that you'd given up a pick 6. You had to do something to try and take that back. The going for 7 right there would have given you a little bit of life. Again, maybe it falls apart in the second, but...
And I don't know, and just to drill down, I don't know what went wrong with that pass, whether Garrett didn't see him, but, I mean, Cole Taylor was... He was open.
So Neil addressed that post-game press conference, and I hadn't thought about this potential up until that, but Garrett very well could have been concussed prior to that, and he could have been, who knows, when you're out there. I mean, they didn't have any idea that he was at that point. He might be running out there, and who knows what's going on in his head. But, yeah, obviously it was a good call. Cole Taylor was there for it. Couldn't deliver the ball, that would have tied it up.
You're right. It was there was a little pick play kind of that was there for one of the few times all night officials did not throw a flag, so they didn't see that. And Cole Taylor sprung open. Garrett did have some traffic in front of him, so even if there wasn't an injury situation, there's traffic, and it wasn't executed.
I'm not surprised that Green got a concussed. I mean, he was brutalized in the first half.
Yeah, I think that, so your point, Brad, that West Virginia ran for 150 yards, 150, 155.
45.
What was it?
145. First half, is that what you're going?
In the first half.
Yeah.
But Garrett had 88 of those.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So West Virginia's plan was, okay, Kansas State, you're not going to run it.
Correct.
I think Kansas State's plan was, to an extent, okay, when Garrett Green runs it, we are going to absolutely punish him. We're going to absolutely punish him and try to take him out of the game. And they were successful in doing that. There was the replay that television kept showing with Mott their defensive end after the pick, driving him down.
I don't know how that's not a flag, guys.
Yeah, driving him down into the ground. I mean, that was their intent. Nico then just took a helmet full later in the game.
Right in the chin.
And
Not sure how that's not targeting, but yes.
And they don't wave it off. So, like, I mean, I get it. That was their intent, to physically hurt you. And I get it. And that's football. I mean, don't think West Virginia doesn't go out there trying to do the same thing. But they were successful in doing it. And as a result, everything went spiraling down.
Both teams had the right plan, because West Virginia's plan is, okay, you're going to put your guys on an island and drop everybody down and run support, and you're going to try and play man. Then what does that open up? If you're going to pin your ears and just come straight at the quarterback like they were, what's that open up? That's why you saw so many quarterback draws and runs. So the counter to the way Kansas State wanted to play aggressive defense is you run your quarterback. And the risk reward there is, that's what Kansas State's saying is, okay, you want to run your quarterback? Then we're going to make him pay physically. West Virginia's risk is, we've got to run our quarterback. He's our most dynamic playmaker, and the defense is dictating that is going to be available. Well, guess what was available? Garrett running the football. He'd make a lot of plays with his feet, right? And just unfortunately, the number of hits that came prevented him from being able to continue. Now you hope the kid's all right moving forward, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, it was
he took some. That's as hard as a quarterback's been hit in a long, long time.
Yeah. And to your point, you don't know, right? Wyatt Milam, Jaheim White, and Garrett Green, and Neil said this, he addressed it. No, when they come out, they say upper body injury. Garrett and Neil said head injury.
He said head, yeah.
He did say head injury. So we're talking about concussions. They were ruled out in some form. So now what happens is they do their base testing before the season ever starts, and now these guys are going to be tested. And whether or not they get cleared to go again this coming week, or is it 2 weeks, don't know, but that's the reason. In addition to a couple of defensive linemen were also lost. You started the game without Aubrey Burks, without Aiden Garnes.
Jackson super limited,
was,
right?
Oh,
he
boy.
Tried to go.
He tried. Give that kid a ton of credit. He looked like Red Fox out there. Remember Red Fox?
Yeah.
Remember that show? What was that show called? Sanford and Son?
Yeah.
Right? He's dragging his leg like just trying to get off the field here, and give the kid credit. He tried all night long.
I'd say the same about Garrett, too.
Oh,
the fact
absolutely.
that Garrett kept getting up and going back in there with the abuse he was taking,
100%.
give him a lot of credit for that. But, man, those were some hits.
Right.
So, anyway, the point of those numbers just showed you that the first half was there for the taking, and you just couldn't overcome the two things that have plagued you all season.
All right. Spreads on Stats brought to us by Conley CPA Group. There wasn't anything in their individual grades of any sort that would make any
doesn't make a difference.
Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
All right.
For the good of the order, don't need to go into individual grades.
Okay. Brought to us by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. It's Conley CPA Group. Let's do this. Textual Healing is brought to us by episode800.com. Episode800.com. Your opportunity to chime in, and you can check out all of our merchandise out at episode800.com. All right, so I was thinking earlier today when I was copying and pasting the texts that come in. They come in on our Google text line, and then we
on the Google
machine, and then I paste them over. So when I sat down early this morning to start doing the copy and paste, like I went to myself and went like, well, this is gonna be fun. So the reality of it is this. So I don't remember when Textual Healing started. I don't remember if it was football or basketball season, but the way that it started was something wasn't going well, and I said, we need some healing. I mean, we need some textual healing. I just said it off the cuff. I said we need textual healing. So let's see what people have to say. That's how this thing started. It was angst. It was angst driven, and over the years, I guess now, the thing has grown, and I haven't talked with these guys about this yet. The thing has grown, and a couple things. One, game related, and the other was non-game related stuff. So I've had kind of, I don't know if I want to call these epiphanies, but I've got two thoughts about this. One is, obviously, coming off of the loss, an extreme majority of the texts basically are saying the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so we could, you could read all of them, but they're the same thing, right? Everyone continues to point out the record against teams that are ranked, the overall record. I mean, it just is a continuing theme. So you could read all of those, but I think that what I'd like to do is just address them, in a chunk rather than doing all. That's one thing. The other thing, and again, this is something that I haven't talked to these guys about.
Imagine that.
Could this maybe set some trouble up here?
What?
We don't know what it is, so
I don't know what it is.
But are you nervous a little bit when I say I got something that I haven't talked about these guys?
No,
yet?
at this point, because you just say it anyway, so we'll adjust after you say it.
adjust.
So this is hard.
Opponent adjusted.
So this next part is hard.
Oh,
It's
buddy.
No, it's kind of like, hey, listen.
Need a hug?
No, it's kind of like, hey, listen. We had a great relationship, but I want to see other people.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you, and it truly is. It's not you, it's not me. So we get these wonderful, heartfelt messages that are sent by people about connection, coming to the food court, and hey, I got this great story, and to you it is a great story, right? And it's your special story, and that's awesome. But I also have kind of, again, just me, I've also reached my point with that too. It's kind of like, okay, I get it, I understand it, and so we'll show some of the pictures from the food court, and it's kind of like this picture. This person stands next to this person, and they hold the beer can, and they have a thing. Like, okay, fine. I think we'll expedite. We'll expedite that. I can't. Like, everyone's got their thing. So what we'll do maybe is we'll build a montage and just say, hey, we were at the food court, and here's a lot of people that had a lot of fun, and that's good, because I get it. I think that it gets tiring. So like I said, I didn't talk to these guys about that, but it's like, okay, been there, done that. Thanks for coming. Thanks for having us.
Well, I mean, you're the sort of the executive producer.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, I probably would.
I wouldn't go that far. Anyway, so let's do this.
I did talk to some great people on Saturday.
I talked to some great people on Friday.
Had fun.
I had fun too. I don't know what Tony's problem is. He's not having fun anymore. I think.
You had a lot of good conversations Saturday.
Did you?
I had a lot. Yeah. It's not that I enjoy it. I just
Wait a minute. You just had a Freudian slip. You said it's not that I enjoy it.
No, it's not that I don't enjoy it. It's just that I think I'm putting myself in the listeners. Like, if I'm listening to this podcast, like, it kind of sounds the same.
Yeah. You've dug your hole. Go ahead.
No, I don't care. That's fine. It won't be the first time. I'll dig myself out of it. So what I want to use, and I'm going to, I've got some, like, if it's super, super, super good, like, I got some stuff that's good in here today, that's really meaningful stuff, like a big stuff. But if it's just like, hey, I saw Hoppy, he looks older in person than like, I'm not you.
Hey,
like,
don't use that.
Yeah, I'm like that kind of stuff. Like, I just go like, okay, fine, whatever. I just want good stuff.
All right, that's fine. I mean, that's fine.
I mean, I've even considered maybe do like the 10 best texts.
Well, I would say, can I say one other thing?
You say whatever you want.
Is that this show and Connection 304 and Homeless Dave and Rev Kev and the Tailgate, I mean, it's created something. And we're very fortunate.
Well said.
That it's created a community, okay? And we exist to do this podcast because there is this community. And that's important. That needs to be valued. And I'm not saying you're dissing it. And I think that the fact that people take the time to come to the tailgate or send us texts or talk to us in the Kroger indicates that there's this community and people want to be part of it. And I think that has tremendous value.
100%. I don't disagree. What I'm saying is not everyone's text is getting read.
Okay. Well, you could have just said that 10 minutes ago.
I mean, I just like, okay. Anyway, I guess. I probably didn't do a good job of being clear on that. What I'm saying is.
Well, you right now, are you just taking pages out?
No, for some reason it kept printing all these empties. There's all blank.
I did that. I'm sorry.
They're all blank.
Well,
okay. So let's do.
Get in touch with Comax, will you?
All right. Big topic stuff first. Back to football, then we'll do the other stuff. And you kind of addressed this earlier when you started off. And that is, we're just talking about basic themes. You talked about, the record, the perception, the momentum, the belief, the non-belief. Where are we? What's happening? Obviously, we have reached a pivotal moment.
The
Rubicon. And, so I guess we kind of have already addressed, what you think potentially is going to happen in the sense of what are options to happen as the season goes on.
Right. Happy to restate at some point with a different angle if it comes up, but that's where I'm confident things are.
Yeah. So that's kind of generally where we are as a whole. Like for folks that I think that are thinking that something is going to be done in regard to a review in the middle of the season, that's not going to happen.
Well, there's always a review.
I'm saying a decision.
A decision.
I think one of the biggest things that you said is I think sometimes folks forget that if you were to make any decisions regarding your coach anywhere, the 30-day window opens in the transfer portal. And, there are just certain things that you would be pulling a trigger and blowing something up that would make not a whole lot of sense.
And Ren Baker, we know Ren Baker well enough to know this, and that is he wants Neil Brown to win like everybody else. But, Brad, he's not just sitting there myopically thinking Neil Brown has to win and I have no other option. His job is to play chess, correct?
Yeah, it is. And that's what he's doing, and he's playing this out, and he'll look at it. But also remember, guys, it was just 6 months ago that Ren thought enough of what was happening in the program to offer a new contract, right, and change that. So that's part of it too. That's why it's you're 6 weeks into this, 7 weeks into this. Keep seeing where it's going, and can it be something that can continue on, or do you have to make a change?
Right.
Lewis and Lewisburg, I'm a realistic fan. I know 8-4 or 9-3 is a really good season for West Virginia, but at this point, watching the Mountaineer is like having to drive 10 miles to get to your destination, but you only got enough gas for 9. You hope that you can drift, go downhill, catch a tailwind, but deep down you're going to come up short. Lewis in Lewisburg. Next texter, I thought the offense would be our strength this year. Texter, here you go. Friday evening pre-game.
Pre-UC game.
Pre-UC game. Oh, I see basketball. Dave Mike from Myrtle, the Dean, and Dan Heinzman after some Rev Kev Barbecue and Wings, Connection 304. There you go, Hoppy. And the new guy, Jacobson, pregame, signed by Mike, not in Myrtle.
Those are pictures?
There were some pictures, but they're not there.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, guys. My wife and I finally made it to Rev Kev's. Didn't disappoint. Food outstanding. Followed up, a couple of beers. I stood by. A young gentleman approached us and said he was impressed by my full-sleeve tattoo.
It was awesome.
And was thinking about getting his first tattoo. The three of us spoke. It turned out we all had similar life experiences. We're both from West Virginia. Both went to West Virginia. We all call Morgantown home. All three of us have had our ups and downs, as most do. Refreshing to hear his perspective on life. This gentleman is from the Eastern Panhandle. Well, I grew up in the southern part of the state, owned some property in Summers County.
Yes,
We'd both grown up around cattle, and we both put our fair share of hay away. I guess you could say it was a West Virginia connection. As you may have guessed, I was speaking to your very own Hoppy Kercheval. An absolute pleasure speaking with Hoppy. We appreciated him taking time to make his rounds, although I may have caught him off guard when I jokingly introduced myself as Andy Kotelnicki.
He did.
Love the show. Let's go, Mountaineers. Wild Bill and Wonderful K in Morgantown.
Go ahead, Brandon.
No, go ahead.
Well, just we had a great visit, and that's one of the great things about Connection 304 to Tailgate is you meet people you didn't know previously, and had a wonderful visit with Bill and Kay, and they'd been married for about a year, and we just exchanged life stories. People are interesting. and if and I think in West Virginia it's okay with asking personal questions and sharing some personal information. So within 15 minutes, you get life stories, which I think are fascinating.
Yeah, and he said something in there that you're contemplating a tattoo.
Well, I thought he had a wonderful sleeve, and had it all West Virginia, like WVU and the black bear and the monarch butterfly and the cardinal. It was really fantastic. And, I think about it from time to time, but I thought I'm almost 70. What am I going to tattoo now? So I probably won't. But his wife had some ink as well. But I like talking to people.
You should get one of them teardrop ones right underneath your eye.
Well, I'm thinking about getting something on my neck. I think neck tattoo.
Thank goodness. I'm glad you had a wonderful conversation, but thank goodness he mentioned Andy Kodalnicki.
I know.
He kept the streak alive. Yeah. Well done.
He did. He introduced himself, and I kind of looked at him, and he did catch me off guard. As well done on his part.
Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales, the largest pontoon boat dealer in West Virginia, family-owned for 4 decades. Lou Wendell, recognized as the state of West Virginia's experts. Pontoon boating, the biggest dealer in the state, selling those Avalon boats considered among the best on the market, manufactured 100% right here in the United States. They were founded in 1973, and they're still made to this day in Michigan, by the way. So, Mountaineer fan Hammer, right? Brad? Hammer? Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So Hammer comes up to me the other day, and he's got a pontoon that lives in Cheat Lake.
Sure.
And he said, I'm going to go to Lou Wendell, and they sell this Avalon boats. And I said, yeah. I said, now you see that lady sitting right over there? She's friends with the Avalons. He said, get out of here. I said, yeah, she's from Michigan. Go over there and talk to her. And he hit it up with her.
Where was that? At the game?
At Neil's coach's talk show.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
And now that this has become a thing, you go there and you see people. Now you see people all the time, and you feel like it's right, Brad. Like, hey,
I agree.
There's the Clements, and you hang out. And this past week, I think that Homeless Dave did this. There were some camping chairs and a fire pit.
He had a fire going.
It's like being on your back patio.
Yeah, well, it was. It was.
That was a nice touch. Yeah,
Great touch.
Dave doesn't miss.
No.
Okay, so when I said, anyway, I'll do that in a second. For spreads, with your 25 different analytics subscriptions, I'm curious, what's the success rate on our screen passes?
I can't pull that up quickly. I can effort that. I can get that.
Also, I was listening to the basketball postgame Friday night. Someone mentioned how good teams make easy things look really easy, and that the basketball team did that, albeit against lesser competition. Unfortunately, this football team makes the easy things look very, very hard. All right. So here's a really good text coming up. Hey, Three Guys, I'm sorry for the long text, but this is a really cool story. If you remember, I wrote into the show during the summer series while my son was having major open heart surgery in Philadelphia. Fast forward a few months, my son was chosen to participate in a special program. Virginia Tech and the clinic partner in many of the areas of the medical field, my son was selected to be one of the children to participate in a T-shirt design and swap with a Virginia Tech player. A huge shout out to Nick Gallo for being such an awesome guy and for just loving on my son. This past Thursday, which was my birthday, my son got to be an honorary captain for the Boston College Virginia Tech game. He and I got to go to the sideline for warm-ups, pregame, enter Sandman. He was then recognized and honored on the field for his heroics. He's such a warrior and inspiration. During our visit, we were treated like kings, met Michael Vick, even the Hokie Bird. It was a very special and memorable event. Now, there is a West Virginia connection, though. Our Virginia Tech guide was the daughter of 2 WVU grads of big-time Mountaineer.
Of course she was.
We got to talk Mountaineer football during our visit, of course. To be courteous, we wore Virginia Tech gear, but underneath, I wore WVU gear. We always have to represent. Then came Saturday, and yeah, that happened, so we won't talk about that. I've attached some pictures from the event. I thought Matt from Tulsa was going to disown his own brother for wearing Virginia Tech gear. There you go. Take a look. So he's got the Hokie stuff, but underneath, he's got the WV. None of that matters, though, when it comes to kids. As always, let's go Mountaineers. Ben from Roanoke.
Kind of puts it in perspective.
Yeah, how about that? So major heart surgery, and then he had a T-shirt design contest, and they took good care of him down there in Blacksburg, and there he is on the big screen before the game, and there's Michael Vick saying hello. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the bird.
The Hokie.
It's kind of neat, though, that underneath that he's got Mountaineer stuff. It's kind of very, very...
Probably best also to keep that on the down low when you're there.
So I like. All right, Texter, I'm not here to place blame or pretend that I've got answers because that's not helpful. I'll simply state what myself and most others likely feel as well. The second half was embarrassing. It's sad that we had a primetime nationally televised game and put on that type of a performance. The classic uniforms only made me long for the good old days even more, hoping those days come again sooner than later. Josh and Mason. Texter, Brad in Charleston writes, well, that sucked. At least Philip Bowen showed up. There is Philip Bowen.
Didn't you all have a meeting with Philip Bowen Friday?
Well, I wouldn't call it a meeting. I mean, it was a hello. He's a great guy. He stopped by.
He and his brother stopped by. It was nice to see him. Asked where Hoppy was.
Yeah, they did ask. They did ask where Hoppy was. So Philip Bowen, one of the great musicians here from West Virginia. And I didn't realize his brother ID'd himself as a P1 listener.
Really?
Yeah.
That was very nice.
He's a fantastic musician. I've interviewed him a couple times. Great guy.
Yeah, he is amazing. Texter. Hi, three guys. I love the show. I'm from Morgantown, graduated in 2020. My dad's been to every home game since 1980-something. Hasn't missed one. Mountaineer football a constant for my family, so my husband and I couldn't imagine a better place to drop our news than at our tailgate this weekend. We are pregnant, and the newest Mountaineer will be with us next season. I love the show. Listening reminds me of home while living in enemy country, also known as Pittsburgh, signed by Miranda from Morgantown. That would be cool, right? When you go to the tailgate and someone says, hey, we've got some news.
We got a whole fertility thing going there at Three Guys. There are, I don't know that you can take credit for that.
I mean, what are you saying? What does that mean?
Congratulations to Miranda and her family, but I don't know that you take credit for that.
I might have overstepped my bounds there, but now I love it when people come with their families, because at Friday there was a couple there who've come who bring their baby, who I think is 3 months old, Claire, and then Friday there was a couple there that had a 7-week-old baby.
Wow.
7 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
And her sister was there and had two young boys who had, I think they'd hit the sugar, man. They were just like crushed into place, just running around. They were nuts. But it was, and that's a family atmosphere, but it's nice. But a 7-week-old baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what we haven't done?
What?
Basketball.
Yeah, good start to the Darren DeVries era.
You didn't roll any numbers on that, did you? I mean, there's nothing available on your mega systems yet.
The really good stuff's not available yet.
Okay.
With the chart exhibitions. I thought it was, especially the first half, the way you came out. And I give a lot of credit to Charleston for playing the game. Only 10 practices. James Long, new coach. So let's start there. That's a Charleston team that I think in the MEC, by the time the tournament rolls around, that's going to be a really good Charleston team. But West Virginia did in that game what you wanted to see it do against a team it should beat. But it came out, and one of the things we've been talking about here up until this first game is with Darren, the intensity and the effort, especially on the defensive end, is going to be a hallmark, right? That's one thing that he does not bend on. Man, did you see that in the first half? They came out, and in particular, when you talk about an individual defender, Sincere Harris was absolutely a dude defensively. That led to some great team defense. It led to a smothering defensive performance there in the first half, made it really difficult for Charleston to get any offense going. Then on the offensive side of things, Tony, I thought they shot it extremely well, 7 of 16 from 3 in the first half. Then you got into the second half, and I think a little bit of that adrenaline kind of wore off. That effort that you put in the first half defensively affected some of the shooting in the second, but overall, tremendous game, got everybody in. Everybody on the roster got in and had a chance to play on the Coliseum floor, and just a tremendous start in an exhibition game, albeit I know the Big 12 is going to bring up some opponents that are going to be extremely difficult, but that's how you wanted to start that exhibition game.
Yeah, I agree with you. They took what they were doing on the practice floor and they brought it to the game floor.
Good way to say that, yeah.
So they, as time goes on, their offense, they'll distribute the ball and they'll move the ball well. They run good stuff. It looks good. right? There's a great feel to it. Just for example, let's talk about the very first play of the game.
Yeah.
Right? Very first play of the game. They run an NBA set, and it leads to a wide open three.
They had Tucker bring the ball up the floor, Hoppy, and they put your point guard, Javon Small, as the screener. Normally it's the big that screens and then rolls. This is a little ode to Steve Kerr and Steph Curry did this in Team USA. It worked out tremendously well. You let Javon Small set the screen, then he rolls for the open three, got it on the first possession. You come back later in the half, run the same thing. Charleston reacted appropriately and said, you're not going to shoot a three on that. We know what's coming. Jumped on the shooter, opened up the back door, cut there, pass from Small to DeVries. So just little stuff like that. If you were watching, you saw really good stuff and a basket made on the first possession of the game to open the second half. Coming out of a timeout, there was some neat stuff run. So if you're a basketball geek in terms of the stuff that's run, right? What do we say about a coach? The highest compliment is he runs good stuff. There was some good stuff being run. It was fun. Yeah. Really both ways, though. James Long's very good at that as well.
Yeah, they're going to be good. They're going to be good in that league.
Made free throws.
Made free
My
throws.
goodness, did you make free throws?
Didn't turn the ball over. I think we had, 7 turnovers? And scored a ton with over 30 or 33 points off of their turnovers. You forced over 20 turnovers. So, yeah, it was a good debut. I think that's a kind of for everyone in the program, hey, I'm glad that's over kind of a game. Yeah. Because everything is new onto that floor. Okay, how do we do? Where's warm-ups? What tunnel do we go into? Okay, when the Mountaineers are okay, they're going to roll this carpet out there. Now, where do we go? Where's the rest of the teams? All that is all brand new first-time stuff. You just kind of forget about that. You just take it.
Yeah. A couple of things. I listened to you guys, and again, congratulations to the new broadcast team. I thought you guys did a great job. Enjoyed listening to you.
Thank you.
And also, I've got my bandwidth is not wide enough. I mean, I got it. Tony, I was listening to you. I thought, now, who is that?
Oh, yeah.
Who is that?
It's everyone.
Who is that? I mean, I know two or three guys.
Don't feel bad. I mean, everyone is new. Everyone is new except Ofri Neve.
Yeah.
And the crowd appreciated that he stayed around because he got a big
hit a three.
He got a big roar from the crowd as being the last man standing. And, So
there were times, no offense to you, because I think you do a tremendous job, but there were times I thought, now, who has the ball?
Oh, I know. I hear you. No, I get that. But
our guy Jake Auer got in. Jake Auer got in, knocked home a three.
So Jake Auer, who played at Brad's high school in Iowa, got in for the Mountaineers. And just like Brad, the ball stays in his hands about 2 seconds before he shoots it.
Shoot or shoot. He was open. Great shot.
And he banged one. And
I was giddy for him.
And the alum took out his Valley High School pom-pom. Just kind of waving him there. He's all fired up.
First Valley High graduate to make a three in the Coliseum. It was a big moment. I was happy for Jake.
Yeah, that's awesome.
His parents were in town. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there were folks at Three Guys tailgate who were stopped there and then went to the game. So, and I know you had a crowd there. So, people are excited to see what this new team is going to be. It's going to be a challenging season, but they were excited about something new.
Yeah, it is the schedule. We talk about the football schedule being tough.
Yeah,
this basketball schedule is relentless, but good start. Tony, I think that's a really good way to say it, what you just said there. Took the practice floor, what you were trying to accomplish, and moved it right over to the game floor. That's really hard to do, especially early with all the new guys. So they have to be thrilled. A lot to work on, as Darren said after, things to work on. Rebounding was one we thought they'd have to continue to get better on. He said they would. That was something that showed up, but really good start.
I got a question for you guys. So when you play that, and I think one point you guys called it out where there were substitutions, like 4 new players came in. Mm-hmm. So you play with that level of defensive intensity. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys going to have to play, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's hard to stay that bouncy for a long period of time. You got to rotate guys.
You're going to have to mix some guys in, and that's why the practices are as intense and fast-paced as they are, because you're getting a little conditioning with that as well. So you're going to play your way into game shape. That happens as well. It's really, guys, you're able to do it because of the length of the schedule and the number of games and the availabilities, but it really is the nice thing about college basketball. You don't just open up with a massive game right out of the gate, right? You get a chance to play your way into to shape and overcome some of that.
They'll go scrimmage Wake Forest. Was that this weekend?
You're not allowed to say that. You're not going to be.
Was that this weekend?
NCAA is probably on line 1.
Yeah.
Coming up later in the week.
There's rules?
Later in the week.
Yeah, so they're going to do that. They'll scrimmage Wake Forest, and that'll give them another opportunity. And then they'll do that situation. That's just not like, hey, we're going to play for 40 minutes. They may play for 40 minutes, and then they stop and they go, okay, let's do this. 6 seconds on the clock. We'll inbound at midcourt. and we're down 1. They'll do situational. Normally, they'll do a lot of situational
when you're
stuff.
exhausted.
When you're exhausted, those situational stuff. So that all kind of stuff helps.
One last thing of the people that stopped to say hi. We met Gordy from Massachusetts and his family.
Oh, that was awesome.
With that remember, he's the one that's texted about he enjoyed Beeline's stuff and he took it and he had a very successful coaching career himself using John Beeline's stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah, he came over. He has 2 little kiddies with him and his wife, and he's good buddies with Adam Hughes, former Mountaineer long snapper, who now lives just a short distance away from Gordy.
Yeah.
But that was the amazing text. We said this is like an all-timer text.
Yes.
Because he was watching Beeline. He's going, wait a second, I'm going to use. So took all of Beeline's stuff.
But he's a Massachusetts guy from Massachusetts.
Yeah, and then came down here and now does leadership stuff. Actually teaches a remote class at WVU. From up there in Massachusetts.
Yeah. It was fun to meet him and his family.
3 guys brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. You think they were busy this weekend? That bridge day?
Oh, yeah.
You know that one right there before the
right
bridge?
There at Fayetteville.
Yeah, Fayetteville right before the bridge. No matter where you are, Tudor's Biscuits can be there with you. They've got over 70 locations across the state and beyond. And I think this is biscuit season. Seriously. I think as the weather gets colder, you probably are more leaning, would you say, Brad, toward a biscuit?
I mean, I don't know. I'd take one down in July.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying
I see where you're going with it.
Well, let me say this.
Comfort food. Is that what you're saying? Gets colder, you need some more comfort food?
Well, let me rephrase. Maybe when the fall comes, you eat 2 instead of 1. That's kind of what I think. You got to stay hard. Anyway, Garden and Gun Magazine hosted last March its annual biscuit challenge. Who's got the best biscuit? 32 different biscuit makers got in, and you guessed it, Tudor's Biscuit World won the biscuit bracket. Won it. Yeah, world's championship, and they won it with their Mountaineer. Just in case you don't know, that's country ham, egg, cheese, and a crispy hash brown, and that was ordained. But there's so many different biscuits that they have. Next time you get an opportunity, or as they say, a hankering, go to Tudor's Biscuit. Start your day the homemade way. Good morning, gentlemen. First off, I'd like to say thank you to your staff coming in on Sundays, taking time away from your families. I'm sure it's not fun recording a show following a loss, especially the last one like last night.
No hill for a climber.
Yeah. Secondly, I enjoyed listening to Tony and Brad. Happy to see, excited what the men's basketball team does this season. I think we'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm grateful to be able to visit West Virginia the last 2 weekends and watch games with my mom at the end of the night. My 20-year-old reunion was last weekend. I took my boys to Bridge Day yesterday. I got food from Geno's and Tudor's on back-to-back weekends, something I've not been able to do for many years. Lastly, I'm hoping the Mountaineers get it back on track next weekend against Arizona. Thanks for doing what you do. Keep us informed and entertained. Texter, that was a disaster. However, I've had the pleasure of meeting homeless Dave. I even had my picture made with him.
All right.
There he is, man.
Homeless Dave.
The 4th guy before the game. The beer was great, conversation better. We talked about our time at North Carolina Wesleyan College. We had very different experiences. Dave was a basketball player. I was a reprobate. We both found our way in life. Dave as the 4th 3 guy, an all-around good guy. As for me, I entered into the one profession where reprobates excel. Politics. Anyway, I'm sorry I missed you guys, but I'm glad that I met Dave, signed by P1 Scott in Stafford.
Thanks, Scott. Glad I got to meet Dave.
Yeah. Dave is kind of the consistency of the
he
whole
is,
thing.
yeah.
So that's where we are. So basketball goes quiet. They go under the closed door to scrimmage. Football, as we said earlier, it's going to be a 7 o'clock kick on Saturday against Arizona. Mountaineers' first trip out there as Big 12 members. West Virginia last played there in the Insight.com Bowl on that field.
Mm-hmm.
You don't remember that one, Hop?
They all run together for
98.
Yeah, so what happened there is West Virginia drives the ball down the field on the opening possession, playing Missouri, and West Virginia drives down the field, and on its opening possession sets up for a field goal, 3-point, looking for a 3, start things off. I don't know why I remember this, but I think a lot of people remember it the same way. Kick gets blocked.
Oh.
And do they return it? I forget what happened, but like from that point on, it went downhill. It was like it was just like ugh, long night.
Didn't West Virginia make a run late? Didn't
May
you start to make a
have.
run late?
Yeah,
For me, every bowl game is the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville.
yeah. Who was a quarterback? Kobe.
Let me see. What
Kobe
year was
Smith? Was it Kobe Smith?
it? What year?
His dad
Nine-
was a coach.
Yeah, exactly right. 98. Then his brother
98?
got into coaching as well. And anyway, my point to all this is that that's the last time that West Virginia played in that stadium. And they'll do it again. And obviously there's a little West Virginia connection in Arizona, right? Rich Rod was there. A lot of former Mountaineer staff members were there. And we'll see how it goes.
Day after Christmas.
Great.
Can I give you a connection? This is kind of personal.
Hold on one second.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me finish this here. 34-31. You did make a run at him. I think that's that game when you rendered me unconscious on the plane on the way out there.
What was the score at halftime? So it was a pretty good comeback, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Like, do you have a halftime score?
How's it?
Efforty?
Yeah, hold on. 24-3 at the half.
See?
West
I knew it.
Virginia scored 28 points. Yeah, I told you they made a run. Scored 28 points in the second half. Outscored them 28-10 in the second half. Lost 34-31.
Okay.
Some of my boys are going to that game in Arizona.
Really?
And West Virginia native, Pulitzer Prize winner Terry Wimmer,
Oh, yeah.
lives in Tucson.
Lives there. Still
Lives there.
teaches there?
He's retired,
Is he?
but he'll be at the ball game.
A Pulitzer Prize winner.
Pulitzer
when he
Prize
was at
winner.
the Charleston Gazette.
No, when he was at the Gazette, then he went to the Orange County Register in California.
That's where he won. It was an IVF story or something? Or some kind of.
Won a Pulitzer Prize.
Wow.
He'll be at the game. So West Virginia will be represented.
Yeah, we'll have some people there.
Well, Mark Bolger, 34 of 50 for 429 and 4.
Who led in receptions?
Foreman had 189 yards on 11 catches.
Saunders was on that
Clarence Jones, their quarterback. Kobe Smith must have been later. Clarence Jones, that sound right?
That's not right.
That's
Kobe was
wrong.
the quarterback.
It's Kobe Smith.
Kobe
Smith,
Jones.
right? Or
Kobe Jones.
Kobe Jones.
Kobe Jones.
Kobe
Oh,
Jones
Clarence
was-
Jones. That's probably right.
Okay, Kobe Jones.
Goes by Kobe Jones, yeah.
What did
Not
he do?
Smith.
What was their numbers?
Or Corby Jones.
Only 8 of 12.
What did he run for?
64.
Huh.
But 3 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Carlos Posey recovered the blocked field goal, returned it 70 yards.
Oh, they got a touchdown off of it.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, I remember that.
How do you remember that?
I don't know why. I don't even know what yesterday was, but anyway. That'll do it for us. What will the line be on the Arizona game?
That's a good question. It's not out yet. Re-released mid-afternoon today.
What do you think?
I should have looked that up. I didn't look at power rankings.
Arizona 4.5.
No, I don't think it'll be that much. They've lost 3 in a row. They're really struggling too.
Arizona 2.5. Arizona
It
1.5.
might be in that 3 range again.
That's the number.
That's where everything's been.
Yeah.
All right, we'll figure it all out. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to our producer, Ethan. Producer Ethan, he came in, had the whole thing going. We're back again on Thursday to preview the game. 3 Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. Get a Gomart rewards card. Go to gomart.com for details. Visit Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World, start your day the homemade way with Tudor's Biscuit. And by Conley CPA Group.
Oh, shoot. I forgot something.
What? What do you got? Whoa, wait, time out. Bring it back to us. What do we got? Oh, jeez. What
Sorry, I
the
moved
heck?
it on you. I threw you off. I moved it on you.
All right. Would you like to
I'm
make
sorry.
Would you like to make a statement on this? What do you got?
Well, you know Dr. Lisa Costello?
Sure do.
Okay.
One of the best.
She and her husband and young child were at 3 Guys Tailgate. And as soon as I saw her, she said, "Come here, I got something for you." It had a shopping bag
Shopping bag.
and had these 3 candies with a very specific explanation. Now, this is for Brad, this is for Tony, this is for Robbie. And said, make sure that they get these candies because sometimes you get candy and it doesn't get spread around. So she made sure, Brad, by bringing
Big bags.
supersized. So thanks to Lisa and her family, and I did bring these in. I want that known.
Noted.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. That's awesome.
Hey, Ethan, since we butchered this whole thing, I think there's a picture of Lisa. Hey, just
Yeah, there is.
fire through some of those pictures. There we go. Okay, there she is.
Yeah.
There she is.
Oh, there we go. And the
There's the family.
Yeah, whole
She's
family.
terrific. She's terrific. Yeah.
And they were headed down to the homecoming parade but they stopped by first to drop off. Now, what
You
do
want
they
a
look
medal?
like?
You'll probably call
Yeah,
it a
medal.
Santa's boot
Yeah.
or something, but it's a medal.
Yeah. And these are tremendous.
Hey, look, okay, there, Hop. There's a gentleman there's from Beckley, right? Center?
He's from Beckley. He was awesome. Excuse me, I'm eating.
Yeah. And, I had a chance to meet with him.
That was Rick.
Yeah, Rick from Beckley.
Daughter Madison, who's getting her master's here. Emma.
Yeah. Tara, the wife, wasn't there.
Not, but did you FaceTime her? We FaceTimed her.
I didn't FaceTime her.
But
No.
here's the thing. With Rick, go back to Rick here for just a second. Great dude. When we FaceTimed and called Tara,
Yeah.
that was the one where we completely butchered it. Her name is Tara. There was a Tara debate on the program.
Correct. I was made aware of that, yeah.
So I made sure I apologize on behalf of all three of us.
Okay, cool. There's just kind of. Oh, that's Hudson's dad. He was performing a Charles Wesley Godwin song. He was really good.
You know,
huh?
his playlist is expansive. And so I got a thing going with him now because I come in and he says, "What do you want to hear?" And I try to have something completely off the wall.
You get you?
And he like I came in this week and said, "What do you want to hear?" And we went back and forth. I said, "How about something from Pink Floyd?"
Took care of it.
Took care of it. He's terrific.
Hey,
They
Ethan.
had a great crew there Friday, didn't they?
Oh, my
Clements
gosh.
and friends. Yeah,
It's,
it was
you know
awesome.
what it is?
Thank
It's
you, guys.
now it's just like we're over at their house, right?
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Got a fire. Got
Got
everything
a fire going.
Hey, Ethan. Just for the world, if you got any more pictures, just roll through them there. I forgot to do that part of it too. If you got any montage pictures that we haven't used, or if you used them all,
There was some from Friday night.
okay.
There we
People
go.
at the basketball game, that's kind of neat. And Rev Kev barbecue. Okay, just keep bouncing.
They
them.
had turkey there, turkey sandwiches.
I got the wings. He smoked wings for the first time this week. They were pretty good. Okay, so those are the same pictures. Okay, anything else we didn't use? We're good. Over.
Jim and
and
Michelle,
out.
Parkersburg Brewing Company.
Yeah,
Connection
more and more
304.
Connection 304 is being made, being distributed. Chances are increasing that it'll be to where you buy, whether that be a Go-Mart or other places across the state. It's hitting shelves with more frequency. People continue to enjoy.
There was a brewer there from Berkeley Springs.
Yeah.
Infiltrating our.
Yeah, made that too. Very good. Nice to have them with us. Good to see you. All right, we're out. Three guys. See you.
This is the end.
This is the end.
This is the end.
We're in more ways than one. We're done.